Okay, so tomorrow you have a quiz. The quiz is going to cover lessons 10-7 and 10-8. The quiz is going to have 11 questions. All right, so from 10-7, the quiz looks very much like the homework. Now, you may get questions where all you're going to have to do is you'll be given the inequality. You won't have to rearrange everything. All you're going to have to do is graph the boundary line and then shade either above or below the line or to the left or to the right. So, for example, you'll have 4 questions that are going to actually, you're going to have 6 questions, 6 or 7, that are going to come from 10-7. And they're going to be graphing, just like you did in questions 1 through 24. And then you'll also have 1 or 2 questions from 25 through 33 from the homework, where you're given the graph and you write the inequality. So I'm going to show you an example of one where you don't have to rearrange anything. It's already in slope-intercept form. And then I'm going to show you another example where you're going to have to rearrange it first and then come up with the inequality and then graph. So for example, number 9, y is less than x plus 5. I'm going to graph this inequality. I'm going to graph it as if it were an equation to get my boundary line. So I would start on positive 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the y-axis. That's my y-intercept. And then from this positive 5, my slope is 1. So I'm going to rise 1 and run 1 from that 5. So I'll put my first point right here, and then I'll go up 1 over 1. And again, notice this symbol indicates that it's a dashed line or a broken line. Let me make my line here. And then from there, you decide, do I shade the top or the bottom? It's a less than, so I'm going to shade below the line. And again, one way to confirm if you have shaded the correct side is to pick an order pair in that side. So I could pick the order pair 0, 0. That's the easiest one for me. Plug it in. 0 less than 0 plus 5. Is 0 less than 5? Yes, it is. So I did shade the correct side. All right, so that is one where you didn't have to rearrange anything. You're graphing the boundary line. So tomorrow I'm going to be looking for the correct line type, whether it was a broken line or a solid line, and that you've shaded it in the on the correct side. So I'm going to look for graph line, the line placement. If you just draw a line randomly on your graph, and maybe you have the right side shaded, I'm looking for 3 different things: the line type, where the line is located, and that you shaded the correct side. Now, you might get a question where you're going to have to rearrange it first before you can even begin to graph. So, for example, if I have 4x minus y greater than 6, I need to put this into slope-intercept form first. So I'm going to subtract the 4x, and I get negative y greater than negative 4x plus 6. Remember, I can't leave it as a negative y. I need to divide all 3 pieces by negative 1. Dividing by a negative is going to reverse my inequality symbol. And now I have my inequality that I can graph. So again, graph your boundary line. So I'm going to start at negative 6. And then from that negative 6, my slope is 4. So I'm going to go up 4 and to the right 1. So here's my first point down here on the y-axis at negative 6. And then from there, I rise 4 and go over to the right 1. Again, notice the symbol here tells me it's a broken or a dashed line. And then from there, I have to decide, am I shading above or below? It's less than, so this tells me I'm going to shade below. Again, to double check this, you could plug in an order pair. If you like to plug in 0, 0, even though 0, 0 is not in the shaded region, if I plug in 0, 0 and I get a true statement, then I've done something wrong. I'm looking for a false statement here. So this is false, so that's why I did not color the side that had 0, 0, so I did pick the correct side. So you will have 5 or 6 questions, or I guess 6 or 7 questions from 10-7, and then the rest of the quiz is going to be 10-8. And again, this time you're going to be graphing 2 inequalities on the same coordinate plane. So just like you did in the homework, so you'll have questions from 1 through 18 where you're given the inequality and you have to produce the graph. Then you're also going to get a question from 19 through 23. You'll probably only get at most one where I give you the graph and you come up with the inequality. So again, from this section, if you're given something like number 13, x minus y greater than or equal to 4, and x plus y less than or equal to 6. I need to fix both of these, so I'm going to subtract the x, negative y greater than or equal to x, negative x plus 4. Divide everything by negative 1. Reverse the symbol. Over here, all I need to do is move the x. And now I can graph. My first point for this one is going to go on negative 4 on the y-axis. Notice my slope is 1. So from that negative 4, I'm rising 1 and running 1. So I'll go ahead and do this one in red. And again, notice the symbol. This tells me it's a solid line. And it's less than, so I'm shading under the line. Thank you. Now, if this were 10-7 and you were only graphing 1, you'd be finished. However, this is lesson 10-8 where it's a system and we have to graph both because my answer is the overlap where both of the shadings occur together. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this one. I'll do this one in green. So then my first point now is on positive 6. And then again, my slope is 1. It's actually negative 1. So this time I'm going to go down 1 and to the right 1. And again, it's a solid line because it's got the less than or equal to. And then you're going to color below the line. Again, you can choose an order pair in where the two colors mix. So if you want to double check it, plug in an order pair from this section, and that can confirm if you've shaded the right region. So the answer to these questions are the graphs. So you're going to make sure everything is nice and neat and the lines are appropriately graphed with the correct line type. Now, you'll also have a question where you're given the graph already and you have to come up with the inequality. So for example, number 20. All right, so you guys have a few minutes. Look over everything, and if you have any questions, let me know.